Hi, everybody. My name is Rita Crompton, and I am the president and CEO of AOS, Archimedes Offspring, in case you don't quite have the acronyms going in the right direction. Uh, one of the days last week, someone sent me an interesting comment, and I appreciate the comments, by all means. This one was just one that I think should be addressed. And what he was saying was, and I'm not sure if it was a man or a woman, but the point was, why file anything? The USPTO is just a big bad US agency and we hate them. Okay, they are a government agency. There is no doubt about it. And they are complicated. And if you log into their website, it seems like a giant octopus that is really hard to manage. However, all right, they are the law of the jungle. They are the lord of the land. All right, however you want to look at it, they're the big gorilla in the room. All right, to get the intellectual property, we have got to play nice with the USPTO. So there's some rules and there's some things you can do. And when somebody says, "Oh, don't worry about filing anything," yes, your intellectual property is your most valuable asset besides your bank account, but you know what I mean. That's what you negotiate with, is your intellectual property and the patent or the patent filing. So nothing has changed. A good licensee, a legitimate licensee, one who really expects to get it into the marketplace for you, first thing they want to know is, can they defend that patent if someone infringes on it? And that's why they asked to see it. So back to the USPTO. We have had really good experiences with the USPTO, and we've had some, rather testy ones. So you need to keep in mind, when you file a provisional, all right, it doesn't get reviewed or read by anyone. All they do is look to see that all the parts are there. So you're never granted a provisional patent application. It doesn't ever issue. People would tell me, say, well, they granted it and they said it was fine. Well, no, they said all the parts were there. Nobody really reviews it. So why does it need to be done by a registered patent attorney? Why don't you just write it out on a piece of toilet paper and send it in? Well, legally you could if all the parts are there. But practically, is that where you want to be? No. All right. And we've talked about this before, but in the short run, if you are ever challenged on your filing date and now someone opens it up and reads it, it has got to have all the parts there in good form, which means you need a registered patent attorney to do it and to make sure that everything is there if you're challenged in court. Okay. So the provisional gets done. And then within the year, all right, give or take a few weeks on how soon you pull that trigger, you file the utility. Registered patent attorney files the utility for you. Then you go about 18 months. And as soon as I say, well, it's going to be generally 18 months, somebody says, oh, no, I got mine this fast. Well, okay, there's always an exception. And if you were over the age of 65, and this is one of the times when that's a good thing, you do get pushed through faster. I do believe you can also buy your way through faster if you are in a hurry. Not everybody wants to do that. So you've got about a 2.5-year blind spot when you go into search. Now, this is not the fault of the USPTO. It's just the nature of the beast. It's there. Nobody's going to look. Nobody posts your provisional, right? It's invisible, except for the fact that you've got a letter that says they've got all the parts and you are now patent pending, right? 2.5 years. Nobody can tell you what they think about it. Nobody's going to go out. At about a 1.5 years, it's published. All right, this is when you can actually see now it's being teed up. You've been assigned an examiner. All right, your registered patent attorney is watching all of this. They know that time frame. All right, the interesting part comes when now you've been assigned an examiner, and you can actually interact. Now, for the most part, they will not talk to you, the inventor, when you've got a registered patent attorney. But you and the registered patent attorney can have a conversation with the examiner. They love show and tell. They're locked in front of their computers. They're all the time just reading. They love little videos. They don't frown. Can we send you a prototype? It helps them understand what you're doing. All right. They love it when all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, that's cool. So when somebody magically tells me, it's like, oh, well, my examiner granted me a conversation. Well, they all will. All right. So that's nothing new. It's just you had the chutzpah to go and ask for one. Good for you. More inventors should do that. But again, when you've got then a registered patent attorney working with you, it's going to be in conjunction with All right. If you really need the conversation with the examiner, and sometimes this is a good strategy, you can pull the power of attorney and then re-sign the power of attorney after you've had the conversation. I've had some inventors that have had pretty good luck with that. They might get the examiner to give them some insight that the examiner expects the attorney to know. So not necessarily a bad idea. Just kind of part of the dance that gets done. All right. Almost every single patent is rejected. It's like a 16-year-old going in for a driver's test. The first time, they almost always fail it. Standard operating procedures. Expect this, right? Don't freak out about it. It's the way it is. So, you know what's going to happen. The examiner is going to find other things, or back, nothing's accepted, it's all thrown out. But they also check the box that says you can respond. Now it's when the dance really starts. You want the examiner to be able to see what you're trying to accomplish. And this is where then the attorney kind of does what we refer to as the dance with the examiner. All right, they're going to say, no, Mr. Examiner, you're wrong. It does it this way. You're pushing back and citing a patent that's not really relevant to this. So you're going to be doing then the tug of war, right? When we always say at the beginning, do that independent search. Right? Get another set of eyes looking for this out there. If your patent attorney has this, or your RPA as we refer to them, if they have that information, a lot of times they can keep an examiner from getting in the rut. It makes it a lot easier. If you address something that's out there before the examiner finds it and goes, aha, I found something. It's like, yeah, right, we saw that one. Though there are things that are going to be relevant and some things that are not. I had an inventor do a new pair of chaps for riding motorcycles and horses. And the examiner said, nope, we're not going to issue it because it's just like a disposable diaper. Well, no, it's not anything like a disposable diaper. So once the examiner then had a chance to really see some video of what was going on, he said, oh yeah, okay, it's not really like a disposable diaper at all. So examiners are human. All right. And I know everybody wants to think, oh, this is so objective. No, it's a very subjective process. The examiner cannot read your mind. All right. Patents are written where we can't hardly read what's in them. But they're used to that language, but they still can't read your mind. All right. And they certainly can't read your attorney's mind. So the more we give them to help them understand what it is in that conversation stage, all right, the better off we are. All right. The better off you are. The more likely you have of getting a good outcome. And so that's what we want to be able to promote, is that relationship then you have with the examiner. Realize they're human, they've got life going on as well. All right. We always like to think them as little robots in a room with their computer and doing stuff, but they're not. They're humans. All right. So they're not going to always see it through the same eyes that you see it. Sometimes you push it up to their supervisor. If the supervisor decides in your favor, yay, that's great. If they don't, now that examiner can be rather cranky with you and hard on you. So play that hand as you think it's going to. Know your arguments, all right? Know what you're going to say, and make sure you provided documentation to present to, back up your point. All right, so before you have that, push that up the ladder, just because you disagree with them, you've got to have some really good arguments for that to turn out in your favor. Okay. We recently had a situation where an examiner said, well, we'll waive the late fee. And the woman had some legitimate reasons why it was late, and we'll waive the late fee. They don't really ultimately get to make that final decision. The business office said, we're not going to waive the late fee. She's got to pay an extra $350. So, she was disappointed. However, you've got to keep in mind again, the examiners are doing one thing, the business office does another. I've had inventors complain about, well, there's always fees. Yes, there are. It said, well, how many more fees are there going to be? Well, we can give you a ballpark. We can give you an average. They're pretty consistent, but every once in a while, if a new one shows up, they've got an excuse for it. They've got a reason for it. It's just the way it is. All right. That intellectual property, all right, getting the patent issued. And then there's another fee, by the way, which is called an issuing fee. So they're going to tell you that they're going to issue it, but not until you pay the last fee. And depending on whether or not you are a micro, small business, big business, that fee is going to swing. How many patents have you filed? Again, it's going to swing. So be prepared. And the lady who got the late fee was told that, you got to pay the late fee and then you're going to have to pay an issue fee. It's a business. What can I tell you? Big government is big government. They are still the guys we have to learn how to play with nice, because ultimately they hold all the cards, and no pun intended on all the card analogies, and you got to know what's in your hand, but you really do. And they are going to be the ones that, they've got the poker face. So my name is Rita Crompton. I am here to answer your questions, help you get you on the right track. Tomorrow we're going to talk again about money. I had an interesting question from a gentleman. So that will be tomorrow's talk. And I told him that we would kind of continue that talk about money when I was talking about, the fact that what does your team look like? And his question was, how do we pay them? So that's what we're going to talk about more tomorrow. And if you've got any questions about the patent office, shoot them over to me. And again, keep in mind, it is what it is. Are they the ultimate wonderful guys to deal with? No, the examiner is not your friend. The USPTO is a big animal to have to play with when it comes to all of the ins and outs of understanding the process. And the examiner is just the examiner. They are going to look at it through human eyes and what they can see and what they can imagine. So if you can provide them with video is the best, because you can send a link to it so they can watch it. When you and your attorney can get online, most of the time the attorney is the one doing the talking, but not always. If you've got questions, shoot them over to me. I am happy to answer them for you. My name is Rita Crompton. I am the managing director and president of Archimedes Offspring. You can also follow me on Inventor Lady and gather more information about patents and intellectual property and all of that kind of stuff that makes most inventors crazy. Thank you. See you tomorrow.